I feel like DC does so well in the animated department. There's so many good movies out there, and this one just looks visually cool.
You said you wanted to prove yourself.
I love Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
I've been getting into the DC animated universe. Is so much better. Why can't they just pull a Disney, copy and paste the cartoons into a feature film, and do that?
You are never a god. Why did you say her name?
It's his mother's name.
We don't need Martha jokes.
Yeah, I agree.
The idea of putting on a Batman costume and then a trench coat on top of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a cool visual, but like, why would he wear a trench coat when he's already head to toe in Batman gear? Your number 8 movie is an animated flick. This is from Warner Brothers Animation. This is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. This is Justice League Warworld, coming on July 25th. Tell me about Justice League Warworld.
I think with this movie, again, the trailers, in my opinion, didn't give too much away, but it looks like Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman, they're going to like gladiatorial combat, like with like their alternative selves, and I think that's like really, really cool. And I like that concept. I feel like DC does so well in the animated department. Like there's so many good movies out there that usually go to streaming, but people don't really know about it because, you know, and then they see like what's going on with the DC Extended Universe. It's just not doing so well. You know, rightfully so. There's not a lot of good movies in there, unfortunately. But I feel like with DC, when it comes to their animated stuff, they really hit it out of the park. And this one just looks visually cool. Like I love Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman like together. I love that aspect. It just looks really cool. Like it's one of those movies where I'm like, I will definitely be checking this out.
I'm more of a DC characters fan. Like I love Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. Over Marvel characters, like the top echelon of DC characters, I think are better than the top echelon of Marvel. I think Marvel's bench is deeper, but I love the MCU over the DC EU. I've been getting into the DC animated universe more the last couple, 6, 8 months or so. The stories they tell and the storytelling is so much better. Why can't they just pull a Disney, copy and paste the cartoons into a feature film, and do that? We don't need to have We don't need to have.
Why did you say her name?
We don't need Martha jokes.
Yeah, I agree. Like that's the thing about honestly that's like the worst part of Batman v Superman. I was so excited for that movie, and again, there are parts in that movie that are some of my favorite. Like that warehouse scene with Batman is probably my favorite thing ever. I was like on cloud 9 watching that one scene, but it's like the rest of the movie was so disappointing. So it's like, again, we get Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman in this movie, but it feels so lifeless when they're fighting Doomsday. And then, but you're right. In the DC like animated world, it's like they really get it right. And even like I need to finish it. I watched the majority of like Peacemaker based off the Suicide Squad that James Gunn directed, and I thought the Suicide Squad was wonderful. Like I wish they would kind of copy Disney, and be like, let's just take what we've done already and just make it live action. Like the Dark Knight Returns like the animated film, the 2-parter, they just ripped that right from the graphic novel, and it's one of my favorite like animated DC things ever. And like the Killing Joke, like things like that, I just love those movies. So it's like, I agree with you. I wish they would just kind of take inspiration.
Wonder Woman in the Old West, we're getting Superman in the 30s doing a film noir kind of thing, and we're getting Batman.
It's cool.
It looks like that dystopian future that we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
It does.
The dystopian thing where for whatever reason, Batman is wearing a trench coat on top of the Batman outfit. I don't know why.
It looks weird.
Yeah, why? The logic, and now granted, logic and superheroes don't necessarily go hand in hand, but the idea of putting on a Batman costume and then a trench coat on top of that, it's a cool visual, but like, why would he wear a trench coat when he's already head to toe in Batman gear? So
I agree with that. Yeah, it was very, 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 very strange.
Yeah, so this one didn't make it onto my list, but it does look like a lot of fun, and the Warner Brothers animated universe. There's some misses in there, but there's 40 or 50 or 60 of them now. Like I looked it up, and that's actually one of those things that I probably should do on my channel is do reviews of all of them, because there's 40 or 50 or 60 of them. There's a lot of actual good Warner Brothers DC Comics stories being told in there, way better than what has been done in the DC EU.
I hope James Gunn, he talked about he's their whole universe is gonna involve animated films and video games and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I really hope that they could still keep the quality of those animated films, trying to tie it into the new DC universe starting with Superman in 2025. So I'm very hopeful that they'll keep that same quality. If you really do some digging, like again, like you're gonna find some good stuff. And again, I think their video games are cool as well. Like the Batman Arkham games and the Injustice games are awesome. So yeah, I have hope for the future for DC. It's just I agree with you. There's too many misses and people just are turned off by all these characters, which is unfortunate, because you get Batman and Superman in a movie that should be the biggest movie of all time, but it didn't even do that well. So I'm like, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating, man. It really is.
And on the positive side, your thoughts on David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan being cast in Superman Legacy as Kal-El and Lois Lane.
I think they look great. I think they have the look. I don't really know them from anything. When I saw the news, I was like, I don't think I've seen them in any movie or show. So I have no idea. So this is my first time really seeing them.
He played the projectionist in Pearl, which I have not seen yet. I intend to watch it. I loved X. Pearl is the second of those, and Maxine with 3 X's is going to be coming out later this year. But he was in the second one. Rachel Brosnahan, if you love House of Cards with Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright, Rachel Brosnahan was a guest star during seasons, I think it's 3 and 4. And she played...
Really? Okay.
Yeah, she played a high-end hooker, and she plays the high-end hooker. She has great acting chops in there. And from there, she got The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I have not seen. But anytime you're playing a period piece, you're playing a stand-up female comedian in the 50s, and yeah, of course she's pretty enough, but to try and ride that line of being funny and pretty, and says so much about Rachel Brosnahan. So David Cornsweet, I looked it up, he turns 30 this year, so he's still 29. So Rachel Brosnahan, early mid-30s, has a few years on David Cornsweet, which is actually probably a good thing when you think about the relationship between Lois Lane, established Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, and a younger Kal-El, a younger Clark Kent. Like, I like that we have one actor who's a little bit better known, one who's almost completely unknown.